Hello all, welcome to our channel. And in this video, we are going to build a project from beginning to end from the scratch. And this project is inspired by this website. This is so we all search for wallpapers, right, on the website. So for our desktop and all. So there is this website called as Pixabay. So this is they have stunning wallpapers and all. So while I was trying to download a wallpaper, I came up to this website. So I thought, why can't we build our own website like this, right? So there has to be some kind of API for that, and so using that API, we can see there's an API, right? So using this API, we're going to build a complete project from beginning to end, and this will take similar to this. It will take a keyword, and when we search for the keyword, it's going to display stunning wallpapers from the Pixabay API, right? Let's start the video. Before that, just look at the subscription percentage. Only 3% of people are subscribed to the channel and watching the videos. So if you are watching this video and you like the content of this video, please consider subscribing channel. I'm planning on building projects every week, and yeah, that's it. Subscribe to channel, and it means a lot, and it gives a creator boost. So yeah, let's begin the project. So for this, I'm going to use Django. For that, I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop. So I will call it as my project, right? And so in this project, so here we are going to create a virtual environment because see, uh, you might be having numerous number of projects in your computer, but so if you are using the same environment for all these things, right? So these what are the modules are there, right? So modules might get uh, misplaced with other projects, and so it will be a total mess. So it is generally suggested to use virtual environment for each project. So we are going to create a new Python environment. So that is Python -m venv, and I'm going to call it as Django environment. So now this is going to create a new virtual environment. So using this virtual environment, we are going to build our project. So virtual environment is nothing but it's like a sandbox where we're going to have all our Python modules in that environment, and it is apart from it is separated from our all other. So let's change into this, and so you have to activate our virtual environment, uh, Django environment slash scripts slash activate. So you can see now the virtual environment is activated. So since we are doing it in Django, right? So I want to install Django. Pip install Django. So this so the Django is installed now. Let's create a project. So for that, the is Django admin start project, and let's give it as a name as a wallpaper. Since we are going to build a wallpaper project, I'm going to name it as a wallpaper. So the project is done, and if I see directories, so it is already always there. So now let's before starting project, I will do this one small trick here. So that is I'll go into my project, and so I'll rename my wallpaper to wallpaper project. So I'm doing this only to avoid confusion further. So our main directory is called as wallpaper project, and inside it is called as wallpaper. So now since we are here, right? So let's change the directory to wallpaper project, and let's open up our editor. So the editor let's say I'm going to use is called as Atom editor. Highly suggest you to use Atom because so you can use anything, like it's up to you, your choice, but things I like in Atom is it is maintained by GitHub, so it has tight integration with Kite and all, and so auto completion is very easy, and it also supports HTML very better than PyCharm and all. So that's the only reason. So yeah, now I think we can close this, and now I'm opening a terminal here. So you can see that it is already in Django environment, right? So our project is Setup is ready. Let's start our server. Python manage.py. So run server. So for Django apps, in order to run server, you have to use this code. So let's open up browser and see our project. So you can see the project is ready, and you can see the project is running. So now what we have to do is we have to get an API from Pixabay, and using the API we have to build our entire project. So before that, there are few things that I will do. So these are things which I do in every project. So see, because even in my previous videos as well, many people asked me that no, we are unable to do CSS and all. So this will take care of all the things. So I'm going to create a two folders. One is called as templates, other is called as static. So all my static files like images, CSS, everything goes here. Let's also create a new folder for CSS. So this will eliminate all the confusion. So all my HTML files will go into this template, and all my CSS will go here. Right. Let's even create a CSS file. New file, style.css. Cool. And let's start our project. So we have to create our views, right? Let's say we created a views.py, and yeah, that's it. So if you are familiar with Django, right? So everything in Django starts from here. So here, if you start a new path, then the path is being set through the project, and we can pass views here. So admin is a predefined view from that. So admin URL. So if I want to create a new, view, right? So the fastest way to do is like views in Django. Insert something like this. So writing views in Django is very easy. Let's say let's copy this, and we'll go to our view and paste it here. So let me explain what is this. So here we are importing HTTP response, and we are importing date and time. So in order to find what is the date, and we have created a view that is called as current date time. When this view is called, it's going to return a HTTP response of this HTML. So which is going to display it is now and the certain time, right? Let's test this out. So let's import this view from dot import views. So yeah, this is why I'm using atoms, right? You can see that autocomplete is very nice. Views dot, what is that view? The current date time, right? So let's say if I save that, and if I run this, there is an error. Cannot import name views from wallpaper. Okay, so we have successfully got a fast error here. So yeah, it has to be views.py, because it can be anything, since we generally views.py is a default thing. So now if I reload, and okay, yeah, now if I reload, so you see, now we can see the time. So this is one example. So I have written this only in order to understand how views works. So we can simply remove this all, or we can simply say we can create a view called as home, right? So this home is going to return HTTP response of hello world, right? Since we have changed home right here, so we also have to change it in our URL. So it is a home now. Now if I reload, it says hello world. As simple as that. So let me just rewind what happened here. So we have created a project. We have created a view. The view is called as home. It is going to return HTTP response of hello world. And in our URL, so when somebody asks for this empty path, we are going to show them that view, right? So cool. And one thing we might observed is that passing entire HTML file like this is impossible. It is possible, but it is not the right way to do. So for that, in Django, there is some shortcut so that we can simply pass our HTML file, import render. So render is used to render HTML files. So let's say if I say render, and let's say it takes a request as a parameter, and here it will take a template name. Let's say we pass it a template called as home.html, right? Now if I reload this, then I will get an error because the template is not found, because we have not created any template. So let's create a template, home.html, and it's going to be a simple HTML file, wall wallpapers wallpapers app, right? Let's give it a h1, and this is home of wallpapers. So now if I reload, then we will still see the error. Why? Because it is searching for a template, but we have never specified to the Django that the templates are in this folder and you have to look in this. So these are something which we created, right? Django doesn't know. For that, we need to tweak some settings. So go to settings.py, and there should be something called as templates. Yeah. So these are the template configuration. Then there is it takes an array that is called as directories, right? So if I pass templates here, and as it is, no, if you rename it something as abc, you have to pass abc, so that the Django will look into these directories as well in order to find the specified template. So now if I reload, you can see that there is no error. So our error should be gone, and this is home of our wallpapers. Now that we are here, let's also include our css, so that we have cleared all the doubts and we can simply start it our coding. True. So let's go into our static css style.css. Let's give a h1 color of green. Green, okay. It will Nothing will happen because two things. We have never specified that. Sorry, a link. Okay. So since our css is a static file, we have to do it in such way. Static, and r is called as style.css. Okay, and now it gives an error that did you forget to load this tag. So in Django, when you are using static files, right, we have to perform one thing that is called as load static. So that is very important. We have to load static in order to use static files. So now the error has to be gone, but it is not been applied. And if you see here, right, we are getting 404 error. So if you search in Google, right, what is the 404 error? It simply says that it is a file not found error. So yeah, we are loading our static files, but our files are being not found by the Django. The same thing here. So as we did in the previous step, right, the same thing has to be done here. So it is by default searching in the static folder, but we haven't specified exactly that it is in our this static file. In order to load the static files, right, we need to add a static directories. So I have made a small note of that, and we can also so we need to include this. So what is this exactly is that we are specifying on which directories it has to search for static files. So this is an in fact, let's see the documentation as well. Static files in Django. So in order to understand anything, right, so the best way is to go for the documentation, and Django provides the best documentation of any framework. So yeah, you can see that, right? So here it says we have to, let's simply go to the exact thing. Okay. So by default it's an empty list. The setting defines additional locations where it will traverse file system finder is enabled. So simply is that it says we pass a list of directories so that Django will search for those directories in order to find the extra static files. In our case, it is our CSS files. Trust me, this is the simplest way to do. So now we are getting an error called as OS is not defined. For that, we can simply import OS. So now the error should be gone. Let's save it and let's run our server once again. Yeah, now the error is gone. And now if you reload this, right, uh, we are still getting 404 error. Why is that? So why are we getting the 404 error? Okay, let's see. So our H1 is ready and we have an H1 here. Yeah, so this is our error. So since we specified that this is our direct read, we did not specify that CSS in this. So we have to add CSS slash style.css. Now if I quit this server and if I reinitialize this server, yeah, now we can see there is no error. And if I reload this now, right, the color has changed. Oof. So till now we were able to set up our project, we were able to set up our templates, everything, right? So now let's dig into this wallpaper thing. So for that, as I said, we are going to use Pixabay API, right? So I will provide a link in the description. You can go and you can create an account for yourself. So they provide a free API, and you have no need to use any other's API, right? So I'm going to use my API for that, right? So I will show you my API. Pixabay API documentation. If I search for Pixabay API documentation, so I have already logged into this and I have created my own API. So this is my API key, and don't try to use my API key. I will destroy all the keys after this video. You can create your own API key, and this API is free. So let's do the simple. Let's say this is our example, right? Let's copy this and let's open Postman and let's see how this API actually works. As you can see that it is taking something like Q is called as what is a query that we are passing, and Postman is nothing but Postman is an it's an application for working with this APS and all. So if I okay, you can see that we are passing three keys. What is the image type and all. So if I send the request, so this is the JSON we are getting in return. Right, so it has our image height and width, and it has a large image URL, and it also has something called as full HD URL. So if I hit full HD image URL, so we're going to see this image, right? So this is what you're going to use as an API. So let's change this parameters. So instead of yellow flowers, let's try for okay. Let's try it again. Let's okay. Now instead of sending yellow flowers, let's send mountains. So because essentially we use mountains as wallpapers, right? So yeah, now we can see that even for mountains, we are able to get some hits. And if I control click on this, so this is the wallpaper. So it is a picture of a wallpaper. So I will give a link to this documentation, and you can search for everything. You can go through the documentation and find all the details, right? So let's dig into the coding. So this is my key, right? So I have already made it in a notepad, right? So yeah. So in order to call the API, right, we are going to use JSON and request. And let's say, for example, we have a query called as dragons, right? So let's say the user wants to get images of dragons. Then so triple quotes is nothing but we can write anything here. Okay, so if I send this to the API, this is the request I'm getting. True. If I click this URL, this is what I'm getting. So I'm taking this and I'm selecting image type as photo, and for the query I'm using a query. In our case, query is what is used as input. So simply I'm using a request library and making a request, and the JSON which I'm getting, I'm passing it to a JSON object. And if I loop through this, and for every full HD URL, I have an URL, right? Cool. So let's do that. Let's create. What I was thinking is, let's create pages. One is called as home.html, other is results.html. So in home, what I'm going to do is, let's pass a form. Let's pass a form, right? And this form is going to take an input from the user. Let's say input type is equal to text, name, query, right? So the value will be inserted by the user, and it also has input, and alright, we have an input, and type is equal to submit, and its name is going to be submit. So this is simply submit button. Let's see how it looks in our localhost, right? So we have something like this. So here I can enter something like mountains, and if I hit submit, then I want this query has to be passed into the next file. So I don't think we need a submit name here, and let's put our target, right? And we are going to pass a URL here, and the URL is called the results. So we are passing these URLs into our results page. True. So for that, we need to set our these things. So let's create a new path for results slash. So whenever somebody goes to results slash, we're going to import views dot results, and let's give it a name. Uh, Name is equal to results, right? And for this, I'm going to give a name. Let's call it as home. So name is simply used so that if even in the future, if you change this to result 1, result 2, by using this name we can access this path, right? So since I've used results, right, I'm going to use the same thing in my this thing. So results URL. So for now, let's go back to our views, and let's create our view, right? So results, results view, it's going to render result.html, results.html. True. Now here we are going to import our API code. So let's copy this. I don't think we need everything. Let's copy this, come back here, let's paste it here. So we have a JSON, we have a request, and we have a query and all. So what I'm going to do is, this is the main thing that we required. Control X and Control V, tab. So coming to the query we are going to take from the first page, right? So we have already got this, right? So let's get our query from the page. So our query is going to be coming from the request dot get, and what is the name that we have given here? So we have given it as query, right? So if I try to get that query here, And now if I print it to our console, then let's try let's try this whether we're able to pass this or not. Yeah. Now if I reload, are there any no module requests? Okay, so we have an error here, so we have to install request library. Since this is a new virtual environment, everything has to be installed fresh, and they are going to be restricted only to this project. So now if I run server again, so yeah, now I have no errors. If I reload, so we are getting something like a no reverse match at and it says so the error has to be something with this. Let's go back to our so yeah, so we should not have used action. We should have used action. Action specifies to which URL that has to go. Let's try to reload this and let's restart our server once again. What is the error? So we have specified it correctly, right? So this is a result.html, and in our view URL everything is right. Okay. Okay, so I got the error. So it has to be a string. It has to be a string. So now I think there should be no errors. That's what happens. No, programming is all about finding errors and solving the errors. So you can never expect your code to work on the first try. So once I closed this previous session and started this new server, right? So now everything is working as it is because see we have not done nothing wrong. So we have set our action to our next page and we're able to take these inputs and all. So now you can see that I got 200. 200 is success, right? Now let's go back to our view and let's print our query, right? Let's say mountains, and if I submit, so then it is going to a results page and it is also printing to a console. So here I'm printing the query, right? So now everything is working. Let's uncomment this, right? And let's just pass a context dictionary here. So context is nothing but Django's way of passing objects from one page to other page. So everything we are passing has to be in some form of a dictionary. So I'm going to pass a dictionary, and this context dictionary will have something like this JSON object, or you can simply call it as results, mm, for simplicity purposes. And let's pass our JSON object here. JSON object of hits, right? And let's save it. And in our in the results page, we can access that using something like this. So what is that we have said results, right? So if I copy results and I go to my if I save this, then Django will be able to print those results. Voila! So these are our results. So we're able to successfully get the results, right? So all we have to do is simply uh, run some kind of for loop and always use this full HD URL and display the image. Right? For that, I have already created an HTML file, so I'm going to copy and paste it. So I will not bore you with all the things. Okay, so this is the HTML file that I have written. So everything till this point is the same, and we have given some kind of grid container, and so we are writing a for loop. So this is a for loop for everything in the images. So these are results, right? So we are running a for loop in that, and for every image we are going to create an a is nothing but anchor tag. So with that image full HD URL, and we are presenting this image. So when the user clicks on this page, it will go take him to that exact image page. So we're running our for loop. So let's save this, and if I now reload, then we must see our images, right? So now we are able to load our images into our website. Now if I click on this image, we can go to that page and we can simply download our image. So I'm gonna paste some kind of CSS here. So yeah. Now if I say something like mountains, and if I submit, then it's giving me this mountains. Yeah, like I will do one thing here. See, since we have implemented the functionality, right? So I'm going to stop this video here itself. As you can see that we have created our thing. So I can search for anything, right? So mountains, I can search for monkeys. So we are making a request to the API, and we are able to fetch monkey images, monkey wallpapers, in fact, right? But the CSS is somewhat off. So I'm going to give a GitHub link to this project in this, and anybody who wants to support to this, I will keep it this as open source, and you can fork this repository and make your own changes, and you can make a pull request. I'm happy to accept those pull requests. Let's build this together, right? So I'm going to give a GitHub repository in the description. You can fork it and uh, like no do whatever you want. No, you can. There are multiple things to implement. My main idea of this video is to show how this can be done, how we can use APIs. So we can do multiple things. We can give a big form where user can simply toggle. He might want to get only vectors. So in the documentation you have seen, right, there are multiple things that can be handled. So we can create a form for everything, and we can simply toggle elements like only load vectors and all, and we can simply manipulate them in our views file, and we can simply pass only those results. So yeah, that's it. I'm happy to see some pull requests coming to this repository, and thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in my next video.